Hi, I'm Dan. Thanks for checking in on Dimgaard. Special thank you to all the backers who've already jumped in on Volume 26 that went live on Kickstarter today, and an equally sincere thank you to the patrons from Patreon who just have, are there on an ongoing basis showing their support. We wouldn't do it without that community to consume the material we produce. We're not doing this to be talking to ourselves. Clearly, the big thing is Volume 26 going live to us. We're very excited about that. In particular, we launched the Patron Wars. The lead-in went live yesterday. We noticed quite a few downloads of that already. If folks have feedback on that, it would be great to hear from that. Right. So the Patron Wars pulls together a lot of stuff. We think it's going to be a great 21-chapter adventure. We have the Blood Wars, we have the River Styx, we have the relationship between warlocks and their patrons, not just the fiendish warlocks. As the story will progress, there will be a response from the Celestials to this incursion, this infringement into the material plane by the blood war that has been constrained to the lower planes for its eternal struggle. Right, so there's going to be a whole lot. We think that the relationships between warlocks and their patrons is one of the most interesting role-playing aspects of 5th edition. It just is just it's just so open-ended. There's just so much that you can plumb the depths of there. There are other elements in 5th edition that are quite deep. I'll give you an example that I really like. Is the cleric's divine intervention. Right, that just opens up a myriad of opportunities, both technically, as far as rules mechanics goes, and also role-playing wise, as far as the cleric's relationship to their deity or force that provides them their divine powers. But the Patron Wars, right, is deliberately focusing around the warlock's relationship with their patrons, and we're several episodes in our playtesting, and it's just really been great. It's really been a great series. I think that it's the best one so far, and the reason I hesitate there is because every time I launch a new one, I think this is the best one so far. So there may be some bias there, right? I may have some favoritism towards the thing that is new, So in all fairness, I will say that folks are still running the Drow Conspiracy, and I get feedback from it fairly routinely about how great it is. In fact, I would have to say that when you look at it compared to Face Secrets or Tyranny in Purple, that Drow Conspiracy still gets more unsolicited positive feedback, not just emails to me, but when I'm browsing around the interwebs, the references I see. So maybe I'm biased because it's new, but I do think that this Patron Wars is really good. I just don't think that anyone's going to be disappointed. There are some big reveals that occur over the course of it. And we have now refined sort of the structure of these stories into, you've got 21 chapters, and we've now organized those into sets of movements or acts or whatever you want to call them within that 21. And there are reveals at the end of each one. Surprises, little twists. At the end of the first one, I'll go ahead and spoiler it. At the end of the first one, Asmodeus, the Order of Asmodeus, which is a newly established order within the One True Faith, takes over the administration of the One True Faith in the contested area, which is a big deal, right? You've got the Order of Asmodeus going from a heretical cult 2 years ago to now the primary frontline administrator of a highly contested area under the complete auspices and authority of the One True Faith. So, like I said, I'm very, very happy with Patron Wars. On some lesser notes, kind of administrative stuff that may or may not be interesting to folks, I have to say that it's not particularly interesting to me, but it's just something that I have to do. Right, so we have essentially a 4-week volume cycle now, right? And we're quite happy with that, right? So the idea initially was we would have a little over 3 weeks of live Kickstarter action for the volume. Open on a Friday, go through 3 weeks, and close on a Sunday. So about 24 days of the 28 days would be dedicated to that live Kickstarter. And then 5 days to clear the payments and distribute the material, and then kick off the next volume. All right, so the problem with that was 5 days is too tight a schedule for Kickstarter to clear the payments. We were having, we're like 3 volumes into this now, and each of the volumes, we would distribute that material and find stragglers at the end who we were then having to do one-off distributions for, which was just a big resource disruption. So we had some choices. We could extend it to 5 weeks, but that kind of does some wonky things with our schedules, or we could contract the live Kickstarter period from 24 days down to 2 weeks plus the extra weekend, so like 16 days. And that's what we went with. So we're going to go with 16 days live on the Kickstarter, and then a little over a week, so like 10 days for the payments to clear, funds get collected, and then we'll do the distribution. Still on a 4-week cycle. And the reason we like the 4-week cycle is that if you look at the way those fall in a calendar month, right, 4-week cycles, you end up in about 3 months a year where you can squeeze in an extra something that you can release on Kickstarter, right, that you can get the backing for on Kickstarter. And we don't know exactly what that something is going to be. We had hoped it would be a compilation of the Drow conspiracy into a single volume, and that still may happen. But that has turned out to be a much bigger endeavor than we had originally thought. And we may not. I think the first of those months is April, where we can squeeze in an extra Kickstarter, and that may be a bridge too far for April. So we have a couple of alternatives that we're exploring if that falls through. One of them being just to not offer anything in there, just have an extra week of downtime where we just reevaluate, kind of an administrative week. But anyway, so that's the boring part of that. As I mentioned, we, for many of the same reasons, that just didn't have the resources, we had to reduce our convention schedule down to just, we had expected and planned to do a convention release a month. that is not going to happen. We are now at Origins and Gen Con, and we don't expect to have any other convention premieres unless it is a matter of a sponsor with a request that we can fulfill. I mean, we can't go to Japan or something, right? But we can do a premiere in most of the U.S. You know, if you have some really out of the way place where airfare is, you know, way too expensive to get either myself or one of the playtest DMs there to premiere it, that could be a problem. But most of the U.S., we can get someone to do a Dimgaard premiere. So that's what's going on there. All right, so I'm at 11 minutes. That's way too long for me to be talking about random stuff. As always, oh yeah, I am working on getting caught up on the questions that I think I'll be caught up in like a week. Maybe I've got like another 6 or 7 questions from people that I want to address. So if you've got questions, go ahead and get those to me in some messaging channel, and I will do what I can to address them. And by do what I can, I mean that I will address them eventually. So again, thanks to the backers on Kickstarter and the patrons on Patreon. Keep it up. You guys are great. And if you keep it up, I'll keep it up. So have a good weekend.